Go. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Monday, April 27th meeting of the Greater Augusta Utility District. We're here tonight for a couple different things. Besides the meeting, we're having a rate hearing tonight as well. So let's start out by introducing our board members, and I'll start off my left here.
Great, Augusta trustee.
Cecil Lawson, Augusta trustee.
Matt Harry, Augusta trustee.
Keith Taylor, Hollowell trustee.
Good evening, Brad Sawyer, Augusta trustee.
Hi, I'm Keith Luke. I'm the city's non-voting representative on the board of trustees.
Tim Bennett, Augusta trustee.
Kara Tubman Walker. I'm a non-voting member from Howell.
And I'm Ken Knight, and I'm an Augusta trustee as well. Let's start by introducing it says GAUD employees next here.
Mike Payne, finance director.
Andy Began, Assistant General Manager.
I'm Brian Charbot, general manager.
That was some consultants, I think. Mr. Burton is on tonight.
Alan Burden, Human Resources Consultant.
Ms. Meredith.
And we're gonna scoot down here see if the hour will pick us up, because we're in person. Good evening, everybody.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I can't think of a better place I'd want to be.
You did that one.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Meredith Burgess. I'm here for Burgess, which is the communications consultant, and I'm excited to introduce to you.
I'm Christina Laird, account executive.
And Christina is new with us, but her father.
This feels like a flashback to phone calls that I went over to him with water consultants. He's worked for that's Deer Dooring and GE. So we have to go to the after. He's worked with a lot of the paper house.
So she has one of her names.
Water.
There we go. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, and so starting tonight, the agenda is kind of what it is. I am going to move the communications update tonight, the first item on the new business, FYI. Other than that, let's get right into our rate hearing. And I forgot, we have a guest here, but you're here for the rate hearing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Second.
Any discussion on the minute? Hearing those, all in favor? Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I got ahead. The agenda was not quite the same way as that. So we'll do the rate hearing. That was the rate hearing. So let's introduce that. Thank you. Tonight we're going to have an intro.
Welcome to the Greater Augusta Utility District Trustees Meeting. Today is Monday, April 27, 2026. The following slides introduce the board and senior managers. The 9-person board of trustees includes Ken Knight, Bob Corey, Bradley Sawyer, Cecil Munson, Patrick Parody, Keith Luke, Keith Taylor, Kara Tubman Walker, and Tim Dennett. Trustees are appointed by the councils of Hallowell and Augusta to represent the interests of ratepayers. Our management team includes Brian Tarba, General Manager,
Andy Began, Assistant General Manager, and Mike Payne, Finance Director. The following video lays out the process used to set water, sewer, and stormwater rates. This culminates in the public hearing portion of tonight's meeting. The proposed rate increase is 5% across all 3 divisions. Drinking water and fire protection are regulated by the Maine Public Utilities Commission, which has additional steps and hearing requirements prior to implementing a rate adjustment. Wastewater and stormwater are not PUC regulated, but for transparency and consistency, we follow the PUC process for each of the 3 divisions. A typical residential customer has a 5/8-inch water meter and uses about 500 cubic feet of water, about 3,700 gallons per month. In this case, the total monthly increase for water, wastewater, and stormwater is projected to be $5.23, raising the total monthly cost from $104.54 to $109.77. The following slides outline the reasons for the proposed rate increases across the 3 divisions. For drinking water and fire protection, the proposed rate increase is to replace aging infrastructure, improve computer systems, increase operational resiliency by adding critical personnel, and address rising costs of supplies and energy. The wastewater increase is driven by increased sludge disposal costs, replacement of old pump stations and aging wastewater plant equipment, addressing rising power and supply costs, replacing and relining failing pipes, and increasing operational resiliency. The stormwater rate increase is needed for pipe improvements, minimizing sewage discharge into the Kennebec River during extreme weather, and eliminating stormwater from combined sewers to reduce pollutants in wet weather events. For the public hearing, Board Chair Ken Knight will recognize people to address the board. Speakers will have 3 minutes to make their comments, with the potential for additional time if appropriate. This meeting is recorded and aired live on Google Meet. A recording of the meeting will be added to our website.
Drinking water customers have the right to petition the Maine Public Utilities Commission. The drinking water rate change may be investigated by the Commission. Petitions must include signatures, printed names, and addresses. We will provide petition forms upon request. Remember, the Commission does not regulate sewer or stormwater. This AI-generated timeline outlines the 2026 rate implementation roadmap. It includes phases for public notification, adjudication, and activation, with the earliest possible implementation date of June 6th. The first phase began with a board meeting in February, which started the rate-setting process. In late March, customers were informed of our plans to increase rates. In early April, notice was provided to ensure customers were aware of the upcoming rate hearing you're attending this evening. The board will consider the comments of the hearing and any feedback from the Commission or Public Advocate's Office and review this at their next meeting on May 25th. At that meeting, they may vote to authorize the changes in the rates. If that happens, the rate changes will go into effect on or about June 6, 2026. Our drinking water rate case number at the Maine Public Utilities Commission is 2026-000074. Tonight's public hearing is required by Chapter 6104. This hearing provides an opportunity for customers and the public advocate to testify and question utility officials regarding the proposed drinking water rate change. Public notice requirements include detailing the rate change for each customer class, the customer's right to information and an open hearing, the right to further hearings before the PUC, and availability of assistance from the public advocate. Customers also have the right to petition the Commission to investigate proposed changes. Petition forms are available upon request. Petition forms require signatures, printed names, and addresses of the signers to ensure validity. The Commission has the authority to investigate rate changes. If 873 customers, which is 15% of the total 5,819 customers, file petitions within 30 days of the public hearing, the rate change may be suspended and investigated according to Section 310. Notice of this public rate hearing was provided at least 14 days ago, detailing the date, time, place, and purpose of the hearing. This was done through our website, social media, direct mail letters, and bill inserts. Supporting materials for the rate change were provided to the Commission and the public advocate at least 30 days before the hearing. These materials have also been available to customers at the utility office for 30 days. Additional information will be provided promptly upon request. We will file the drinking water rates with the Commission no sooner than 10 days, May 7, 2026, and no later than 30 days, May 27, 2026, from today's public hearing. The board will vote on whether to execute the rates at its May 25, 2026 board meeting. The purpose of tonight's public hearing is to help inform the board's decision by receiving feedback from ratepayers. If the board approves the changes, the new rates for drinking water, sewer, and stormwater will go into effect on or about June 6, 2026. With that, we'll start the public hearing. Please keep your remarks on topic and 3 minutes long or less to allow others to comment. State your name and where you are from. Thank you for your interest and participation in this process.
Well, thank you, Brian. That was great stuff. That helped a lot and kind of made everything clear. So maybe a quick just update. We're doing the 5% as a rate increase, I believe. We kind of stated there tonight on the beginning of this. So is there anybody online tonight that wants to talk about this? I didn't see anybody. Did you, Andy?
I don't.
Sir, there's a chance if you'd like to speak, this is a good time to do that.
Well,
And just state your name and speak your little.
Everyone has, I really don't need to, I sent a letter out.
Yep.
Express. There's no sense to labor the whole thing over again. But I do want to thank one member that is on back. I really appreciate it. Even though he agreed that it really wasn't part that work, the point I was trying to make, but I do want to thank the member that was a user. Thank you very much for doing that. It's unfortunate sometimes that I find I've been on city council gathering for years, but I find in public meetings, these hearings, that nobody shows up,
Right.
which is very unfortunate because there's a lot of people out there that do have that kind of getting a bill, and in the section, a lot of them say it's pointless to come because they're going to do what you want anyway. So I guess I hope when I send my letter out, people did read it, and
I did.
and I think it states what a lot of people on fixed incomes in this community are up against. And when I looked into it, I saw my numbers were off. It looked like now, after we've had these rates over the last few years, is that Augusta now is higher than Gavin. And lost more than Waterville. I guess that's why I'm hoping that, and I know it might be too late to really go back and look at stuff, but there's a possible way to try and find different ways to get the rates, the increases down just a bit, to try to get and see where the other communities around us. That's all I have to say.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate that.
I think you're welcome. Thank you. Is there anybody else that sitting here to speak or on here? Well, if not anybody else is, then I think we can close the public hearing. You mean I missed Brian or?
Nope.
I think public hearing is closed on this, and the vote will not come on this till next month. So we have one to think about it and get some more input if needed. Appreciate the hard work everybody's done. I appreciate the email and speaking tonight. I certainly hear, I think this board is very understanding, especially with the people on this board. We're all around here. The amount of clients we have that are fixed rate, it's a tough thing. We sit on both sides of the river here in Augusta and Palo beside the river. So it's a challenge to do this. And I think we think about that. I think this district does a lot to be very proactive in this. What have we gotten in the last, tell me the years of how much grant fund that your team, Brian, has got?
It's like $18
million.
We have a slide coming up. Actually, can you scroll to that?
I think it's important to, because I appreciate what he said, and I think it's interesting to note that since 2020, with all these projects that we're quote forced to do, not because we just want to do them, but we comply with our licenses. We're a compliant district. You don't stray off the reservation. And that slide really says it there. Maybe Randy are more better at talking that than I am, but it's pretty self-explanatory. But that's a whole pile of money that would have normally been rate increases. Brian and I've been here since the beginning of Greater Augusta, and I will tell you that from day one, both Brian and I have always had the idea of stabilization of rates. And it really hasn't been until the last couple of years that we could get down to the 3% and 5% rate increases because of all that's been impacted. And COVID is really put a loop. We actually did pretty good going through it, but it was a tough one. So I think the district tries. I can hear that. We talk about it at these meetings. I have trustees here that represent all the different parts of the towns. I think we talk about it all the time and they're very fun. So that's an example of what we do. Pat.
I would ask Brian just to accentuate what you said, Mr. Chairman, that a lot of these things are rendered by federal requirements and even state requirements. It's not like we get up in the morning and we read your memo and said, oh, okay, let's spend $15 million or whatever the bottom price is. It's mandated that you have to recommend this to the council. We've got a lot of old, I'll bring up a point I brought up before. We have a lot of old ancient infrastructure. And if you think, Meredith, that it would be helpful for your readers to that every time we have a broken main, something that, like was put in 1910 or something, that we take a picture of our workers there and just put it in our, monthly thing to let them know that we're not doing this because we just get up in the morning and said, I think we need another project. We're doing it because we need to do it in order to keep water and soil, that would be, I just suggest that a picture is worth 1,000 words, the old saying, and I think it would be helpful. Thank you, Chairman.
Anybody else? Cecil.
Yeah, a few years back, for quite a while, we had, flat rate, and then we pulled some 30%ers, right out of the blue. We have to now, for the rate committee, and we discussed this, there's no secret, try to level that out so that there's a gradual increase. I know that kind of sticks in people's craw, but better than getting hit with 40% every other time you turn around. So, and I was reading, and I hope you got a copy of the Important Prince Herald, where we're trying to, municipalities are following the same problem. They are faced with a lot of aging infrastructure, a lot of very expensive stuff. And it's in bedrock, it takes a lot of work to get this straightened up. So, home I'm going with that is except that it just costs money to keep going. And you can't give up. When water stops, people get upset, or we have to boil water, it's really bad. So, what is that we're supposed to be doing every year?
Well, we like to, the district has always wanted to replace a mile of pipe every year, but that cost of that, what we try to do is do projects that incorporate that mile of pipe, rather than doing projects and the mile of pipe. Because, it's just unsustainable, the rate increases would be 50-60% every time if we were doing that, and we can't do that, and so, with 1890s and early 1900s pipe in the ground, it's a challenge, but I think this district is very proactive. Look at that list of money that we've gotten to help with this. So I think we do a good job. The trustees are appointed to look after the people that we serve. We do a good job at making sure that their needs are. We try to minimize as much impact as we can. So thank you for that. Anybody else? Bob?
I just like to point out to the same point is the utility district goes in and does research and study all year long. It's just not a monthly, just 1 month or 2 months ahead of that. The rate committee looks at things, reports back to the board, they discuss things, starts with the employees, going through all the deals. They come up with 50, 60 projects that must be done. And we can only get to 1, 3, 4, 5, 6 projects. And if something breaks or damaged, that and they shove a product down because they haven't tried to get approved. So I just want to make sure the folks are aware that a lot of thought, a lot of discussions and goes into this stuff. And if you're watching our websites, watching the meetings, you see all the papers. We're not afraid to print out, put to you folks all the numbers that we're looking at. And if you've got any public input you want to come forward, please talk to us. Get a hold of the district and stuff and give your opinion. And it will be listened to. Thank you.
Hearing none, let's move on now to the, thank you. We'll move on to the regular meeting here. So we don't need a rate committee update tonight, so we'll start with projects update for the end of the meeting.
All right, I will Try to make this fast, but we have some exciting stuff to share with you guys. This is a Riverside Drive. We have our PFAS treatment equipment inside the building now. Our internal crews will be piping that up in the next several weeks. It was no small chore to get them in there. Cody Crane helped us rig the vessels in place. The guy standing in the back, he's 10 feet tall. The vessels stand about, 8.5 feet tall, but we had to tip them to get them through. And there's 6 of them in the building now. Yeah, we're excited. We want to get the media loaded in them towards the end of May. Have this online working in June at some point.
What is the media you guys?
We're using an ion exchange resin. It's Dowex or Amber Light PSR 2+ for anybody that wants to know specifically.
It's the good stuff.
Yeah.
How much of that money that's being spent on that has been coming from grants or from other than ratepayers? How much?
That is a great question. The last slide, we are leveraging $12 million in forgiveness or grant funding free to the ratepayer for about a $16 million effort that funds Riverside Drive treatment upgrades and our new source projects.
Those PFASs are those forever chemicals that just won't go away. And this is a way to handle that so we can protect the public's health. Just wanted to make sure people understand that. Thank you.
Yep, good point. And this is the new well project to also mitigate PFAS. We had a multi-pronged strategy to solving our problem. One was treatment and the other was a new source to reduce O&M. So we're not paying for the treatment for years to come, resolving PFAS. So this is the North Augusta site. We've been pumping for almost 5 days now. It's producing a lot of water. We're pumping 500,000 gallons a day as we speak, and with very little impact on the aquifer right now. We're expecting it to be much closer to 1 million gallons a day, which is about 700 gallons a minute. Residential well, you're talking about, 5 to 20 gallons a minute are good wells. So it's a lot of water. We collected water quality sampling today. We had a whole soiree of samples that we had to collect in anticipation of new well approval. Our hydrogeologists will study that. We're also studying a second layer. We did a test way down deep at about 120 feet, pocket of gravel. There's another one about 60 feet down. So we'll test the 2 pockets, compare the water quality and quantity, and then see if we need to make a decision. We also have some other stuff to discuss, some land issues later. Brooks and St. Catherine, that fired back up. We are the contractor put temporary water mains along the road, along Brooks Street, and most of the work will be in Brooks Street this year. We already did St. Catherine as part of this project last year. So we're doing water main upgrades, storm upgrades, and half of that street will receive a sewer upgrade because we can reline the upper portion. So that's going well. The city will be taking over the road portion of that later on in June, July timeframe to rebuild the road. No updates on the trunk line projects. Davenport started today. Perryman Construction's out there. They're pre-drilling the ledge. We have a lot of ledge to remove. So they're going to be pre-drilling that so they can hammer it out and remove it easier. It's about 1,000-foot stretch of water and storm pipe to mitigate some CSOs, take some catch basins out of the system that belong in the stormwater system. Anticipating completion in June. Amherst, we have good news where the developers are changing hands for the Augusta Plaza build out. And we've been told that with the new owners, once they sign papers, I think it's May 8th, they'll be able to sign an easement for us to put a pipe across their property to help move this project forward. So that's what's holding it up from going out to bid right now.
Nice question on that.
Yes.
It's a large residential operation, is that what that's gonna be, apartments?
Keith knows
yeah.
all the details.
So, those will be great pictures, right?
Yes.
Yeah, good.
Mhm. And Memorial Drive, we're roughly 90% done the design work on this separation project. Again, it's final goal, once all the phases are implemented, is to remove 60 combined catch basins out of the sewer system. So very good project. Yes.
Did you determine which route you're gonna take yet?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're gonna take from Gage Street along Memorial Drive. So the lower part is Memorial Drive, and then we're gonna go up West Crescent Street, a small portion of Water Street, you know, to this corner right here. So that's kind of the pathway that we're kind of landing on. We're hoping to get some cooperative efforts with the Walgreens there, but it's owned by too many owners to make that process easier, for lack of a better word. But yeah, the tenant is Walgreens, and they have nothing to do with the property. They just have the right to have a building on it. So we're talking with a company in California, you know, through emails, and so it's been difficult, but we're hoping to make headway there. If we don't, we'll definitely just go down West Crescent and not impact that property at all. But yeah, it's going to be an expensive one. We're looking at 2 to 3 million. We applied for funding to see if we can offset the impact to the ratepayers on that one as well. I'm hoping that we qualify for some disadvantaged funding and get some forgiveness or grant associated with that. So that's a goal, a strategy that we're moving forward. Eastern Avenue, we've got over a mile of water main that we're designing here to replace. We all know that, you know, we've had between 3 and 6 main breaks out there just in 1 year, along with Coney Road. So it's an important stretch for us to get, you know, buttoned back up and new. It's over 100 years old. So we're tracking that, hopefully, to get that designed and out to bid for next year's construction. Since it's so big and so long, we wanted to get out ahead of the curve to get that bid this summer with next year's anticipated construction. Did you want to talk about Outer Western Ave?
Yeah, you recall that we have the ability to feed our customers in Manchester with a single 1905 water main. It's 24-inch water main. To the left of the screen is where Manchester is, and that's where we used to get the water from 1905 to 2004. So 99 years. Pretty good run. And then we pivoted to groundwater because it was less costly to do that. Meantime, all that water still continues to get to Manchester through a very, very large pipe, which means the water velocity is really slow, which means water age is really high. Water age is one of the things we worry about in drinking water quality, because as it ages, it can have worsening water quality over time. We've been very fortunate because the groundwater we have hasn't manifested itself in such a way. But if we were to lose that pipe, then there's no water in Manchester for a while until we find it. Back in the early 1900s, they dug that water line between 1903 and 1905 with us, just people, not much in the way of machinery at all, some dynamite, but hundreds of people were involved in just physically excavating that pipe. If we were to try to permit that job now, it would take 4 years probably, and we couldn't put it where it is because it's all through wetlands and everything. We complain about permitting, but I wish they had some permitting back then, because now if there's a water main break in the middle of a wetland, they don't even know how to get to it, or worse, how to find it if there's a break. So this has been something on our plate for 25 years or more. Recently, DOT provided us with some plans that appear to take some of those ditches that you see on the right as you head towards Manchester, and they might finally fill those in and put under drain in there and put 6-foot shoulders on there, so if it's a car accident, it's a place to go. So those are all favorable steps for us in terms of putting pipe in the ground where that construction is going to happen. So much like Memorial Drive stormwater that Andy was just looking at, this bridge we can see out the window, they're going to shut that, DOT is going to shut that down for a week at a time for 8 separate weeks. So that means from this rotary all the way to the other rotary, nothing's going across that, so they can do bridge maintenance. The advantage for us is we won't have any traffic at all to control. We don't have to worry about paving every single night. It saves us tons of money if we can coordinate with DOT. And I think the same thing will happen here. So this is an example that we talked about a little bit earlier, is when we have to pivot and acquire these targets of opportunity when they come up. So between this job and this Memorial Drive project, those are great projects to do because we'll never be able to do them for less money. Again, this has been on the list for 20 some odd years. And I think we could probably leverage some grant money. I've applied a couple times, swing and a miss on those. But when you partner with a significant agency like DOT, sometimes it moves you up because the funding agencies like to see that kind of collaboration. So I'm excited for that. Just want to put it on the radar. Not sure when that will happen. DOT is, we love them, but they're notoriously unreliable in terms of being able to tell us exactly when they're going to do a project because they're federally funded as well. They bid out a bridge supposed to cost, $400 million, cost $800 million. They need to cut projects. We get it. But again, it needs to be on the radar for 27, 28, potentially. Interesting. Then we just added this project. You want to talk about?
Yeah, this is our grit room. This is in our operations building. We do a couple of things there. We move return activated sludge around, activated sludge, and our main flow pumps are in this room. You're seeing a very small corner of it. Our crew actually updated this. They put new pumps in, they put new piping in, they gave everything a fresh coat of paint. But the reason why we're kind of displaying this is, the portion on the left is the before, where we have rusty valves, they don't work. We had to update those and replace those, but our own crews are doing it. They're proud of the work, and that's mostly why we want to get them active in our Riverside Drive PFAS, upgrade as well. They like those types of things if we can allocate the resource time to it, and it's satisfying work, and it's they're proud after, and we're proud of them for doing it. So it's just a nice one to display.
I'm glad you did that. That's great to see that and great work, and look at the difference and what a difference. Good plan you had to try to see something new, and look what it's done. So kudos to you guys for letting that happen.
As I understand it too, those old pumps on the left with what look like air conditioners on the end, you can't get parts for them anymore. A lot of the times these things will go and go and go, but then the company has been bought out 3 times and there's no parts availability anymore. So we go to Daniels and have stuff made sometimes just to keep things going. But this is an example of where we kind of had enough of doing that and had to put in some pumps and motors that we can get pretty much anywhere now, which makes it a lot more reliable and save us a lot on maintenance costs. So, but yeah, I couldn't be more proud of the guys for doing this. It's just really,
Nice job.
it looks, but no one will ever see it. Unfortunately, this is the problem that we deal with. Things cost a lot. We work hard and nobody knows because it doesn't break usually because we fix it right away. And it is awfully frustrating. So that'll look great for a few years and then it won't look as good. But
Most of our handiwork gets buried, so it's.
What are the brands of the new pumps?
I don't know. Do you know off the top of your head?
The brand, I don't know the brand off the top of my head.
They're interesting looking though.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They pump grit, which is basically sand and stuff that comes in the wastewater. You imagine you get a rain event, it washes the winter sand down into a catch basin. The catch basin is combined with the sewer that goes to the plant. Not all of it gets separated right away. So these things have to pump sand a lot of the time. So they wear out. Anyway, it's great example of stuff you can do.
Well, thank you for that, Andy. Any questions, Randy? And I guess we can ask them as we went along. Great, that's good stuff there. General manager report, Brian.
So every month, everybody enjoys seeing themselves who work here and board members that, well, we're getting to that. Don't click anymore, stuff. Yeah, so apparently the last month or so, I was using the wrong column in a database. Anyway, so there's some consternation that the folks in March weren't fairly represented, and I'm here to apologize to them and also do a better job going forward. So, folks, on month 3 there, we got Mike Gerard, Tucker Cummings, Israel Colpit. Mike's worked for us for a year. He comes from Florida. He's not used to the cold yet, but he's doing all right. This is his first week on call for the pump station crew, which means 24/7, he's just waiting for his phone to wake him up and go to any of the 20 some odd pump stations we have all over the place. So it could be drinking water or wastewater. You never know. Sometimes it's a bad computer contact or something that wakes you up. But for that 7-day period, those guys really never sleep very well. It's a tough thing, which is why it's hard to find him, and we have to pay him to keep him. But he's been here for a year. That's a good sign. Happy about that. Tucker Cummings been here 2 years. He's our youngest employee. I think he's our youngest guy. A couple years out of high school, and his uncle works at the wastewater treatment plant, Artie Cummings, which you may know. And he's been a fantastic pickup. Was on our meter shop crew. They had a lot of this work, like you just saw on that other slide, putting things together, working the wastewater plant. My uncle's there. So guess who wants to work at the wastewater plant now? Tucker. So I think that's going to be his thing. He's going to slowly migrate over there, but we're all very sad on this side of the river, even though it's still on the same team. It's unfortunate to not have him right here every day. He's a great guy, and we hope he makes a whole career out of this, and looking forward to that. Israel's been working here for 8 years. He runs our CCTV truck. That's the sewer robot. If you've seen pictures of that, it's this little thing that looks like a battlefield drone almost, and it's on wires. We drive it down sewer pipes and stormwater pipes, and with that we can inspect, find defects. When we find defects, depending on how severe they are, we might have to replace, a good charge of pipe, hundreds of feet, a mile or whatever. And sometimes it's only a few feet, and or it might be a candidate for relining. So that work is super critical because relining is by far a least cost alternative to renovate old pipes for the sewer and stormwater system in particular. So very, very helpful to know where those defects are. We plot those on a digital map with our geographic information system. And then we use that every year to set aside a few $100,000 to do pipe relining so that those defects are corrected and they don't get worse. And we don't leak wastewater into the environment, and no water comes into the environment that then we have to pump needlessly at the wastewater treatment plant. So very important work that he leads over there. Tim Dennett, I don't know if anybody, Tim's been with us for a year. I think we recruited Tim after he came to a rate hearing. And asked some questions. They were good. They were good questions, and he said, "Yeah, we had an opening, and it's been a great addition to the board. I'm certainly happy to have him along." And you're still here. That's good. It's kind of like our guy at the pump station. Some people just run off. They're like, "It's not for me." Well, thank you for doing that. And then Brandon Main he's our dig safe guy. So if you see people spraying the pavement out on the road, it's not because they're hoodlums. It's because we have a lot of construction happening between all of our service area, all of Hallwell, wastewater, all of Augusta for sewer, stormwater, and wastewater, and then Manchester for drinking water. Anytime somebody wants to use mechanized equipment and has to dig a hole, we have to go find our stuff so they don't break it. So he is very, very busy all the time finding infrastructure. And again, that goes back to those digital geographic information systems where we document all of that onto a map that anybody can carry around on their phone, and we can find the pipes very quickly. And if we mislocated or someone found a pipe that we didn't even know existed, we can go out quickly and help isolate it and stay at work. And then if you just click one more time, Randy, I forgot last month, and I think we all know who Randy is for 28 years. She's been here. She keeps reminding me this is going to be her last year with us. I'm not sure I fully believe that. This picture was taken just yesterday, so can tell by the hairdo. But she's been with us for 28 years. She's our, she is online because she doesn't have anything else to do at night. So a lot of seasons. But she's been great. She's a good friend of a lot of us. And keeps us on the straight and narrow. And anytime we have things like stuff that you guys need at the board level, she's forever putting that together. So I did not have her last month. This is my mea culpa. So
I understand she's a boss.
that's what she does. I hear that a lot. And I just, yeah, it would be nice sometimes. Okay, so on with the show here. Seasonal water lines are on. If you know anybody in Manchester, we got that up and running. It takes about 2 weeks. We used to just kind of flush the water lines out and turn them on. And now we flush them out, disinfect them, test them, and then make sure they're all safe to drink. And then we turn them on. So it takes a little longer to do that. We have no complaints at all this year that I heard, which is great. We try to get them on before Patriots Day because we know a lot of folks who live in Mass have camps and come up from out of state and they might have that day off. So, but it doesn't always work. Depends on the weather and how wet the ground is and so on and so forth. Hydrant flushing starts this week. We used to flush twice a year, spring and fall, 5 days in a row. And it was pretty fun. When I started, we did it at night and it was a fun time at night. I'm not going to lie. But because of the drought and other reasons, we're just flushing 1 day a week. Gives our wells time to recover. And it's easier on us operationally to do that. We do it in the daytime for traffic safety, and it's much easier for our guys to not have to work middle of the night and then come back to work the next morning. That wasn't safe. So starting this Wednesday and for the following 4 Wednesdays, that's happening. We have a geographic information system derived map on our website that tells you where they're going to be and so on. First quarter of PFAS sampling was done at our triangle wells. Those are not the ones with the filters that Andy was showing you. Those wells are over on Bond Brook Road. We have 3 active wells right now. Andy mentioned that we're putting a brand new pump in one of the 3 wells on Wednesday, which would be great. So we get that back to full capacity. But our first of 4 PFAS samples this year were all negative for PFAS, which is great news. So that information's on our website under the PFAS section on our drinking water. I put the test results themselves online. So not only do you see a summary table, but you can click and see the test yourself. And you'll see, I don't know, I think it's something on the order of 15 pages of data. It gets pretty confusing pretty quickly. But long and the short of it, we're doing okay so far. We're updating our specifications and procedures for engineering. As you can imagine, that is some riveting stuff and very exciting. And I hope by next meeting, we'll have something for you guys to take a look at. And then finally, we're making progress. Andy's talked a lot for the last couple of years about our fiber optics across the river in conjunction with the sewer and water pipes that we put across the river. We had an old pipe that now carries some fiber optics, and we've been able to negotiate with a couple of vendors for some favorable pricing to connect our infrastructure here over to the wastewater plant and some other structures along the way so that we have high-speed, secure data, which is great. And with that, I'll take any questions. Seeing none, I'm going to hand it off to Mr. Payne.
Well, we're doing the general manager report, right? We're doing.
Yep.
PFAS chemical next. Are we doing?
Oh, yeah.
When
when would you like to talk about the legal?
The next item is PFAS forever chemical, which maybe we've covered. Then the next item is litigation.
Okay, if that's, you control the rock and roll, that's probably an appropriate time to do that.
Let's just do that.
Okay.
Let's combine everything into one here. We're really talking about last month. We kind of moved on and said this month we're gonna talk what we're gonna do with this litigation. So let's introduce that. Let's have that discussion and do
you want to kick that off, Keith? Where you talk to
Just where this came from?
Yeah,
Sure. I read an article in the Maine Monitor several months ago that was talking about PFAS remediation and PFAS litigation claims in New Hampshire. And what interested me is there was an article about how they had already found a dozen Maine public wastewater treatment plants to represent in terms of screwing the manufacturers of the PFAS because the sludge disposal costs have gone way up. Think about it. GAUD sludge, just like farmer sludge or paper mill sludge, has PFAS in it, and the price of disposal has gone way up. So the goal of it would be to receive some kind of compensation to make up for the change in price of sludge disposal.
Okay, is that another, like, we did that with water, right, with the class action? Is that this one kind of for the wastewater side class action, or is it,
Yeah.
or is it a class action or just individual?
Maybe Ken can answer that, but I know that, again, there are at least a dozen main entities that are
Got it.
planning to participate. I'm not sure what the overall
Okay,
scope is.
give us another question I had. So we have somebody on, Brian, right?
Yep. Ken Sandstone, am I saying your last name right, Ken?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Ken Sandstone from SL Environmental Law Group. I'm joining you from Concord, New Hampshire this evening. Thanks for having me on. My firm, SL Environmental, all we do is represent public agencies and other kinds of utilities in cases over contamination. And what we do in these cases is we have a client who's in a situation like your district is in right now, where complying with a regulatory mandate that's come down the road for a particular contaminant is going to cost money, which would otherwise have to be absorbed by your ratepayers, and trying to find out who's responsible for the presence of the contaminant, bring a lawsuit against those folks who are typically the manufacturers of products that were made some distance away from your community, but were used or disposed of there by people who were unaware of the environmental consequences. And through those lawsuits, we try to get those manufacturers to pay as much of your additional remediation costs as we can. And we've been doing these kinds of cases for 20 years now. We kind of got started with a big case we did for the Attorney General of New Hampshire. At the time, I was working for the Attorney General of New Hampshire. That was my job before I joined this law firm. And we've been doing it ever since. And as I think was mentioned already, we represent a number of your sister utilities in Maine who are dealing with the problem of PFAS in their wastewater treatment systems. And the problem is exactly as you just heard, which is, of course, the Maine legislature has taken a very aggressive approach toward the problem of PFAS on a number of different fronts. And one of the measures that the state has put in place disallows the use of sludge generated as part of a wastewater treatment process for any sort of land application. And so the disposal costs for that have increased significantly. We represent about a dozen, probably maybe closer to 15 now, wastewater treatment plant operators in the state of Maine, and typically their disposal costs for their sludge have tripled since that requirement was put into place by the legislature. So what we're trying to do is, as I said, get the manufacturers of these products who are really 3M and DuPont, and in some cases manufacturers of firefighting foam that contain the PFAS as well, to pay for as much of that as we can. And we are filing individual lawsuits on behalf of all of our clients against these manufacturers. Now, all of the lawsuits that have been filed over PFAS against these manufacturers have all been put together in a single coordinated proceeding known as a multi-district litigation, or MDL, which was assigned to a judge in Charleston, South Carolina. But there isn't a class action as such that's been filed on behalf of wastewater treatment plant operators who have been impacted by PFAS. What happened on the drinking water side, this was referred to earlier. I think, my firm represented about 300 different agencies across the country who were impacted by PFAS in their drinking water. Many of these water systems had filed individual claims as part of this coordinated proceeding, the MDL that I'm talking about. And the settlement of those claims, took class action. And then after that class action was announced, a number of additional water systems agreed to join. But there isn't anything like that in place for wastewater claims. And I don't know that there's going to be. So what we're doing, as I said, is trying to file these cases individually as part of the MDL. And when you file a case as part of this MDL, there are advantages to it. And basically, you get the case on file. You have to provide a little bit of information about whatever testing you've done for PFAS in your wastewater treatment system. You've done that, no doubt, as a result of these state mandates that I'm talking about. And then after that, you're kind of waiting. Right now, we're not working on the wastewater cases as part of this MDL. There are all these other cases that have been filed, including like tens of thousands of personal injury cases by firefighters and other people who say they got sick or died because of their exposure to the PFAS and the foam and other places. And those are really the focus of what's going on right now. Before that, the focus for about 6 or 7 years was on the drinking water cases. And so eventually we're going to get to the wastewater cases, and then we're going to start working on those. And, you know, we think that's going to produce a settlement opportunity for your agency and all the agencies we represent who are bringing these kinds of claims. My firm handles these cases on a contingency fee basis. So we just get a percentage, 25%. Of whatever we can recover for you. We don't get paid by the hour. And as I mentioned, including both wastewater, drinking water, and then a couple of agencies in Maine that operate airports where the foam has contaminated the soil have also hired us, City of Portland, City of Sanford, for their airports. We represent 20 different agencies in Maine right now on these PFAS claims against these manufacturers. And we represent even more agencies, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, other New England states, and as I mentioned, across the country, about 300 different agencies. And as I said at the outset, these are the only kind of cases that my firm does. So that's what we're proposing tonight, that we represent you on a contingency fee basis in bringing claims for PFAS impacts to your wastewater treatment system. As a number of your sister wastewater treatment agencies in Maine are doing right now through our firm, and we would file the case. And as I said, once we got to the point where we got to work on the wastewater cases, we would start doing that, and hopefully, as I said, get some recovery for you out of this, so that you can kind of ease the pain of these additional costs on your ratepayers. So I'll stop there. I'm happy to take any questions or hear any concerns that any of you have about what I'm saying here.
Thank you. 2 questions. One, you were saying you were going to get onto these wastewater cases in the near future. What will be the timing for actually proceeding, and when you feel like things are happening?
So it's hard to say. You know, I think the expectation was, and my firm, as I mentioned, all we do is represent public agencies and utilities. We don't have any of these personal injury cases. We don't do those kinds of cases. I think the expectation was that these personal injury cases would be further along by now. In fact, you know, the judge had ordered that we have a trial of a personal injury case as a bellwether or test case back in October. That ended up getting postponed, and it has not been rescheduled yet. So that's causing a bit of a holdup in these proceedings. But I think once we're able to get through those, we would get, you know, to the wastewater cases within the next couple of years, I would hope. You know, this judge who's overseeing these cases, this proceeding, believe it or not, has been going on since 2019. And he's indicated that, you know, he doesn't want it to go beyond 10 years. He'd like to try to wrap this up. And certainly the rest of us would, our clients would. So, you know, it's not going to be another 10 years. It's not likely going to be another 5 years. I think it's likely to be another 2 or 3 years. I would hope no more than that.
And then the second question was, in terms of any kind of recovery or settlement, would that be divided up amongst your clients?
So I think it depends on what the structure of the settlement is. So as I mentioned, on the drinking water side, we had a class action settlement, and that settlement used a formula to divide up the recovery. There were a couple different ways, and it sounds like you've been through this, so you probably know some of this already. There was a score that was assigned to every impacted well or, you know, surface water treatment plant, and that score was used to make a prorated distribution. And then there was also another fund that was created for agencies that had already spent money on PFAS remediation, so they could get some additional recovery. That settlement, you know, a lot of work and thought went into it. And I wouldn't be surprised to see us try to use a similar model for wastewater treatment cases. I have in my role here, so I'm on the plaintiff's executive committee in the MDL, which is the group of lawyers selected by the court to manage the cases from the plaintiff side. And I've advocated for special treatment for agencies that have already had to spend money because of PFAS in their wastewater systems. And right now that's Maine. Soon it's going to be systems in Connecticut and some other states that are going to use similar bans on land applications. So I would hope, kind of like we did on the drinking water side, that it would be a combination based on what PFAS you have in your wastewater stream, in addition to how much money you've actually already spent on this and would anticipate spending in the future.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Ken? Go ahead, Brad.
Hi there, Brad Sawyer.
Hello.
The sludge spreading certainly has impacted us. What scares me in Maine with our current legislative speed on some of this is a discussion to treat effluent. Would this lawsuit in any way prohibit us from recovery of funds for what would make water treatment pale in comparison if we had to treat effluent for PFAS?
No, I would say the contrary. What we're doing through this lawsuit is to try to recover any additional expenses that you have because of PFAS in your wastewater treatment system. And we were just talking about this, I think, before we get to an inflection point with these lawsuits. It's going to take a couple of years. We'll have, I think, a lot more clarity on what the regulatory requirements might be, if any, for treatment of PFAS and effluent. And so my expectation is that would be taken into account as part of any settlement, if in fact that's what's going on at that time. So we want to try to capture through these claims any additional expenses that you already know about or are, even have the potential to incur in the future here as a result of this PFAS.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
I'm Brian, general manager, not part of the board. If the board decides, we want to go forward, what are the steps, Ken? Just so everybody here is aware.
Yeah, thank you. So the first step would be to sign our legal services agreement, which I think I've already provided a copy of. Typically, my clients have, whoever their agency counsel is, take a look at that, and I work with that person on any issues they have. But it's rather straightforward. As I mentioned, it's a contingency fee agreement, 25% of the recovery. And then once we get that all buttoned up, we would be drafting a complaint that we would file in this multi-district litigation, this MDL proceeding, on behalf of the district in order to get the claims on file. That would need to be reviewed by you probably, and any other staff who have knowledge of what's going on here, what your additional expenses are. We would get that filed, and then, as I mentioned, a few months later, we would have to provide records of whatever testing you've done for PFAS. So that would really get the ball rolling. And then, like I said, we're a little bit in a holding pattern on these wastewater cases. So I would keep you informed, or the board informed, at whatever interval is helpful about what's going on until we get, like I said, to an inflection point with these cases.
Thanks. Excellent. Anybody have any other questions? Pete, Bill, yep, we're all set. We're all set. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was nice talking with you tonight. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well,
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, of course. Take care.
So we have two terms, two things to talk about. Correct? We have this particular one that has to do with the sludge. I'm just going to put it that way. Then it's the other ones that have been talking to us for the last 2 or 3 months, which had to do with the upstream people that have put stuff into the river from upstream. So there's two things. I don't know. be clear about what we're talking about. So we need to do separate things and say still looks like there's about the same amount of legwork to get started on each of these. Or is there something different? Are they both? I mean, it seems to me there's a little bit of work you gotta be approved. They can file a complaint, and then none of these are class action. These are all individual. Or we're approved and they'll, like this, they'll sign for this, kind of what's going on here. I'm trying to summarize this.
I think you're doing fine.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know what we need to do legally, but as the board, we say, let's take one, are we gonna do that one, or are we gonna do this one, or how do we do that? But
I mean, I don't see them as one or the other, but they're talking about, one is about a well contamination and one is about sludge disposal costs, which are both, well, actually two different divisions here.
right. So all one of them individual.
What I might suggest is let me talk to our council and see if being represented by both firms, even though one is more folks discharging to the river upstream and the other is more this MDL. In a couple of years, since no one was just talking about, can we have separate representation? Answer any other of those questions, and on the 18th, when we get back together, I can give you an update. Does that sound about right? That way you don't have to make any kind of decision tonight. I'll have a little bit more information. And then meantime, if you think of anything else you might want to know, I can ask Mike.
Well,
I understand right. One is on like the upstream was looking for something by May, trying to move that stuff forward, and then the slides are saying it could be 2 years, a little bit longer. I count on that thing. So for me, I agree. It's two different issues. Can be looked at in two different ways, and we have no turn in order for us who will stay on top of both of them. That's correct.
Yeah,
So we have the extra time because when you're around on the upstream part, the slide is one we can move forward later.
Yeah, I did some research, and the deadline for the upstream claim is 6 years, and that begins when essentially the remedial actions occurs, which I think I talked to Amy about. That would be triggered when the treatment plant physically was construction began, which would have been last year sometime. So there's no, as far as I understand, there's no May deadline. It's 6 years from last year. With that said, it doesn't mean we need to drag our feet, but it isn't imminent.
but we had a corporate lawyer here last time, and there's no reasons that we couldn't have said yes to that night, from what I heard in that meeting. So it does be different. So if you want to do one and wait for the other one, or you want to just wait for tell me, I'm willing to do whatever the board.
I think Brian's suggestion to ask council, are there any problems with having two at the same time?
Okay.
I think that's pretty important. You want to step forward and then.
Let's have that in May.
That makes sense. Okay.
Sounds good, everybody. Yep.
Right, I turned somewhat to Brad also, on some comments that you made in the past stuff. Where are you, you wanted to move ahead last time?
I did. I remain in the same place. I think this early at the beginning of this meeting, we asked our community for more money from them. I think if there's an opportunity for us to recover funds for what we have to do from the people that caused the problem, I think that's a noble thing to do. I remain that. It's how I view my role as serving the best interest of the ratepayer. So I maintain I'm interested in moving forward. Certainly, I'm happy to hear more about what we just heard. That was the first time I heard from them. Big democracy guy. I saw the amount of support that I had on this horseshoe last night for people that wanted to go after that. So technically, for Robert's rules, I can make the same motion again, but I am gonna remain here ready to second a motion somebody else makes. But I maintain, I think it's the right thing to do.
Okay. So my thoughts is, again, like, keep it, like to see us discuss it again next month. And then get, some comments on that, and we should be able to move forward with some type of decision next time.
Okay. Anybody else? Hearing none. Let's move on to, I moved the agenda around, so we're gonna move over here for Meredith and Steve to come up and we'll do a communications update. I'll give it on the floor.
All right, good evening, everybody.
Great, Jim, you'd like to
Just want to talk about communications that we've got coming up. We just finished the water quality report that is already posted on the website. And it would be,
There you go.
I contacted Randy. in this.
No, that's,
As a theme.
oh, yeah.
This should be time up, right?
Oh, yeah.
About all of the possible.
I know my audience. You tell me something about communication.
All right, great. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hopefully, sugar keeps you guys going tonight. So anyway, the water quality report is up and on the website. It will be in the stuffer that will be in everybody's May bills. And that's our requirement that we need to do. And we'll also be on the homepage of the website. So that's up and out, and Brian and everybody did Young's work and got that turned around pretty quick. We're on target for that. I love the grants, list of grants that we've done and loan forgivenesses since 2020. I want to do something with that. We've got the newsletter process. We've been focusing obviously on the PFAS remediation that's going on. Riverside well, that's going to be pretty interesting. Plus just that whole conversation of infrastructure and what was in the paper, the Public Press Herald a week or so ago, where they talked about all that. And that's just our biggest issue. We're just keep talking about that. And I think really highlighting the grants, that's a great thing. The last couple of pages of your board packet had some information about every quarter we provide you a quick update on what's happening between our website and social media. It's just important to, we're spending time and money on doing it. People seeing it is helpful. And I'm going to let Christina step in and
Major
speak back.
highlights, people are spending about 30 seconds at a time on their website, so definitely if you're more engaging in your careers page is really kind of gone off as people looking more for careers this time of year. Any questions if anybody?
Yeah, because you read this, and if you have any questions. We did a major sort of update on the website maybe 3 years ago. I don't know why time flies so quickly. So we might look at some tweaking of the website to make it a little fresh. For folks, I think there's just a ton of content on there. And Brian, you just added a bunch of historical documents to the history piece, which highlighted the fact that this building that we're in right now is how old? Over 100?
100 years old.
100 years old.
Yeah, so we decided we'd finally paint the inside a little bit better last year. And,
So they'll paint
yeah,
all that, and of course the 12 William Street building is also very historical in nature, so we've been promoting that. And I believe the coolest thing that's happened is the Workplace Safety Week, which was is National World Workplace Safety. And as part of that, Maine, as you know, had two Maine DOT workers killed in January in Waterville. And each year this is certainly talked about, but this year I think it meant a lot more here in the state of Maine. The governor just signed a bill to increase death benefits there. And as such, the Maine DOT, Maine Turnpike, and CMP and a number of other companies, including Greater Augusta Utility District, jumped into a special effort whereby 30-second PSAs were created a couple weeks ago. And we invited folks who actually were working on the roadsides. And Jason Susser from Greater Augusta was stepped up, and he was featured in a 30-second PSA. Happily, we also worked with Maine DOT, so we got to produce those commercials of 30-second PSA spots, and they are now running throughout the state. So each of these, I think there were 30 or so companies that are involved in this effort. And they were all given the completed PSAs to run in social media. They're all directing people to sign a pledge. And that's going on right now. And to the theme of the whole thing is that see cones, think people. That was a national theme that was created, but that was pretty cool. And that is up on our social media. And I believe it had something like 200 or so views just since the early part of this week. I don't think it even went up until the end of last week or so, really recently. So that's kind of cool. And as always, I always say, if you guys have any things that you see, you hear from your constituents, questions that people have that are ideas we can cover in other ways out there, please share those with Brian, share it with Ken, share it with me. You guys pretty much know how to get a hold of me as well. Just want to keep the consumers and our ratepayers interested and involved in what you guys are doing, because it directly affects everybody. And also, you guys are pretty proactive, which I want to keep pushing all of that.
Well, thank you. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Page 7, the trustees page and meeting engagement and talking about Zoom. I thought we were going on Meet. Are we back on Zoom? Or I don't understand what that means.
Well,
what are you using Zoom?
Yeah. So, Andy, we're on
Google Meets
it's Google Meets.
It's Google Meet.
tonight. Yeah, all
So
the
when
board
you go to the
meetings.
trustee page, it's a
Well, I saw Zoom. That's why I was curious.
Okay.
what that
People use Zoom as a shorthand for Meets or Zoom or Teams.
Okay.
So, yeah, if it's on,
Meet.
correct, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I know.
There's not another thing.
It's
Yeah.
not another
Good
way.
call, good catch.
Fine. Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, hearing none, thank you. Thank you. Nice meeting you, and happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing it with us. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Randy, for listening.
You did great. Thank you, Randy. Okay, moving on, let's get into. Mike, are we ready?
I'm ready.
Go ahead, let's start with Mike and review of financial statements.
Okay, for the end of March for the water division, revenues at 1.7 million, and that's about 1% below budget, and about $115,000 above the same period last year. Expenses are running 1.1 million, that's about 3% below budget, and about 22,000 below where we were last year. The cash side of things, we began the month at 5.7 million in cash at 649,000 operating revenues. O&M expenses of 350,000, and we had 170,000 for our project related expenses. And end of the month, it's about the same, 5.7 million. Sewer division, revenues are running at 1.8 million. That's about 1% below budget, and 111,000 above where we were last year. Expenses 1.4 million, that's about 1% below budget, and 147,000 above where we were last year. Cash began the month at 1.7 million, and we had 726,000 operating revenues. Expenses for O&M of 475,000, and for capital projects 63,000 for the month, ending the cash at 0.1 million at the end of the month. Storm division revenues at 1.1 million at the end of the month. That's right in line with budget, about 47,000 above where we were last year. Expenses are running 522,000, and that's about 8% below budget, and 160,000 below where we were last year. Cash side, Storm began the month at just over 3 million. Revenues were 448,000, and operating expenses were 251,000. End of the month, 3.2 million in cash. Well, that was kind of quick. Any questions on that?
Questions for Mike? Hearing none. What's this? What's that slide?
Is the grant summary.
Oh, that's nice.
long and the short of it, since about 2020, we've had something on the order of $19 million in cash coming in from other sources to help us predominantly address our PFAS issues, which we continue to address by both installing treatment at Riverside and trying to find drinking water sources that don't have PFAS in them to begin with. That's predominantly on the west side. We've talked a lot about that. We had a slide earlier that showed where we're investigating new source of water now. Just for Keith's benefit, how much was that drawdown? Because you'll over what?
Oh, how much water we're pulling out?
No, the physical drawdown elevation difference.
About 5 feet.
Over how many days?
4 to 5 feet over almost 5 days. It'll be 5 days tomorrow.
So it's a stonking well. Yeah. So
there's several, the days, the last 3 have been like 2/10 of drop. So it's substantial.
Yeah. So we're hoping that there's quite a lot of water there. And again, that's being paid for with PFAS money to try to mitigate that and provide for tactical growth in the utility. It's important that we don't have all of our straws in the same proverbial sponge. Right now on the west side, that's kind of the condition we're in. So the ability to move out and away towards the fish hatchery and obtain some safe drinking water there has a lot of appeal. And to the extent that someone else is paying for it, makes a lot of sense.
I think it's a pretty big deal because otherwise that's money that the ratepayers
Right.
have to absorb.
Yep.
So that's a huge deal. And these are the things that the district has to do to maintain going forward and providing safe, clean drinking. Lot that goes into this. Anything else on to do that? We're gonna do, we did financial statements.
Do you want
Yeah, this was just a quick update on the 2024 audit. We did get a draft from Tim on April 20th. He was out the following week, so I'm going to be catching up with him on just comments that I have back for them. So more to come on the final report, but we did get a draft.
Getting closer, it appears.
Yeah,
Sneaking up on it.
we are.
Heading
close.
right
So
across the street.
I was glad to be able
Sneaking
to,
up on it.
it was nice to have a positive.
Yes, it was. Thanks for staying on top of it, Mike. I know that's a challenge. And seriously, if you don't understand, it's a challenge for Mike. Is a really good financial guy for us, and not having these tools causes him a lot of work and heartache because he comes here every month to provide us with correct stuff. And so this doesn't make it so much appreciated your willingness to do this. So thank you, Mike. Okay, moving on. Review of liens. I think we have 3 to talk about tonight. Can we go out do it in one motion?
Yes.
Mike, is that? We'll go talk.
Three else just on the same location, three.
Yep.
So they're all 367 Northern Ave, and you're recommending to waive these, correct?
Correct. Yeah, this is one of those things where if we don't waive it, we can accidentally own that property through automatic foreclosure, which is unpleasant. So my recommendation is let's waive our lien rights in this case, so we don't accidentally own that property via automatic foreclosure. Do you know off the top of your head? I was just going to look that up, Cecil, how much the value of those
Well, it
liens?
doesn't matter, you don't want the property.
Correct. Yeah, the alternative is worse.
So it-
Let me see.
Is it abandoned currently or are people?
It seems to be, yes.
Yeah,
The word abandoned.
Water's been shut off for a while, as I understand it. Yeah, my understanding is that person whoever owns or is responsible for it is living out of state right now, kind of incommunicado, so. Anyway,
Randy turned a camera on. I don't know if that.
did you want to add something, Randy, to this? Nope, giving the wave off.
Looking at these things, Randy's gonna start looking into it a little bit further. I know Brian and stuff, and I've asked him to be looking at it also. You really don't want to own the property. When should you be charging these liens off on those things? Because they're never gonna get them. And then if you got the properties, you can only get your money back. You cannot pay any profits. Everything's got to go back to the owners of the property who are dealing on that forward. So the chance that you need to really decide when you really need to charge these things off, because they're never going to get anything back. So it's fluke when we got something back from the city, because it was done improperly or wrong at the time on that stuff. But I think more is becoming in the future. I know Randy was looking into it with you guys on that thing. So you have pretty much get set stage on when you should be charging these things off, how do you look at them going forward, and we're virtually not gonna get any money back.
I think we discussed a couple, 18 months ago, I don't think it was 2 years ago. And now is the time in the cycle, where new build will be going into the hopper in December. It's a good time now to start the discussion with, I hope it will be Representative Briggio, to introduce, kind of a technical amendment that will allow, right now, the reason the city can't collect and distribute sales proceeds to the utility district is because it's an independent quasi-municipal utility district. If it were a municipal utility district, we would be made whole through the same process that we can cover our legal expenses before distributing proceeds to the former. That's the intricacy, that is the quandary that Augusta is in regarding compensating, I guess you'd say, the utility district for unpaid for water and sewer liens. If we were a municipal utility district, we could, but because we're a quasi-municipal independent entity, we cannot. And the only way to rectify that is through a change in statute. And I think it makes a lot of sense, not just for this utility. There are a handful, any utility district in the state that is not a municipal utility district is in the same position. And the municipality, I think of from my personal standpoint, would rather see, for the benefit of ratepayers and taxpayers, them made whole before a delinquent taxpayer receives proceeds from it.
And to me, it makes more sense that's out there because, again, the only way the district right now has to do anything, they have to do foreclosure. What I'm saying, they have to become the owner, pretty
It's
much.
just not good.
Which is not good, right?
It's just not interested in Trustee Sawyer's thoughts on this interesting legislative.
Does the city have a tax lien on this house also?
Probably.
Maybe has it one there.
The city, the dynamic is the city's lien, tax lien, when executed properly, negates all other liens. And now, it's a recent Supreme Court decision 2 years ago. Now we have to list the property with a broker. We can recover only our clearly identifiable legal expenses and some administrative or reasonable administrative expenses from those sales proceeds, and the remainder is returned to the former owner. If there are, and over again, we get into scenarios. For example, we can deduct from those proceeds if we've had to secure the property, if we've had to tear it down, all of those expenses come out of the sales proceeds. But from my personal opinion standpoint, if we got to reimburse the utility district, what is generally a few $100s, sometimes going to be more than that, but usually, Randy would, it's a few $100s, generally speaking, would make more sense for everyone involved to make taxpayers and ratepayers, give them relief through this process before sending any proceeds on to a terminally delinquent taxpayer.
Taking away from a lot of the incentive for anybody to foreclose on those things that's out there, because before, I went through many foreclosures when I was at the bank. So we got to keep our property. So they were one over things, and we actually could use a different thing. One has to make sure all expenses are paid. They cut that off because they felt we were going on. So I think we had to stand up to their margin. We had to stand to. You had to sell it at a reasonable price. You couldn't go in there and buy the property for pennies on the dollar
Yeah.
And the court can then could throw it out, but you sold it at the regional price going price. That probably became yours. Good, right?
In the past, we've waived automatic foreclosure, but we've kept the liens. Is that the goal here, or are we genuinely waiving the liens so we get out of line?
That's a good question. In this case, where, as I understand it, we're actually waiving these liens.
You're waiving them, right? Because you're not getting rid of the lien, you're waiving them like.
For automatic foreclosure.
Right.
So it could be that the language that's used is not.
We do what we do, what you were saying, yeah, it's not what language.
Right.
Can we change it to that?
You can say you can waive your option of automatic foreclosure at 267 Northern Avenue.
So somebody wants to make that motion. What's this more discussion? Well.
I moved away the 3 lanes at 267 Northern Avenue. To move forward with the 3 lanes at 250 Northern Avenue.
What's that? I don't, well, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Move to.
Wait, go ahead, Greg.
Okay, can you withdraw the motion?
You withdraw your motion?
I'll drop my motion.
I move to waive automatic foreclosure for 3 liens at 267.
Very simple, and I second it.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? All those opposed?
Is that a one-time thing? We don't have to do it again for this property, for these liens? Do we have to revisit it every year?
That's the part. Some of these come back. I mean, we're to Bob's point, we're almost at the point of what's the point of putting liens on? It's expensive. But as I understand it, we're also required to put liens on by at least the Public Utilities Commission and also our legislative charter. So we're stuck kind of doing something we'll never get anything out of, like apart from expenses to other ratepayers that do pay their bills. So it's.
But once we've done it, for this case, you don't have to revisit them again.
Unless there are some other expenses that crop up, for example, recurring stormwater fees or what have you. So I think to Bob's point, we have some soul searching to do internally to make sure we comply with all the laws. That's our primary objective. And then also to work with Brad at Maine Rural Water on legislation that makes sense, that was just never thought of by the legislature, even though we were formed in 1903 by the same legislature. They just still forget that we're here, which is strange.
You can't charge off the lien on the third thing, and you still get it back further down the line. If you get it back, and it's a recovery, then that's all it is.
Okay.
Just understand the legal, that is no longer owned by the owners, is that it's in limbo?
They still own it.
Okay,
They just,
still own it. No,
they have-
the lady who owned that house, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she had passed away not long ago, because that's very close to my house. I know the son, I thought, might move to Massachusetts when he was living part-time, that's all I know. So if there's somebody still there, still owns it. There are nice houses around there, that's the whole thing, very nice homes.
Yeah.
Anything? Okay, next, we're talking about approving a rate modeling proposal. Looks like we haven't done this for 15 years, and you talked to us a little bit about this over time. You want to
Yep,
update it, so this must be the proposal.
I'll shorthand it for you. What I'm bringing to you tonight for your consideration is to authorize Ty and Bond out of Massachusetts to update update our drinking water, sewer, and stormwater rate models. Those haven't been addressed since 2011 on the sewer and stormwater side. I want to say 2015 or 16 on the drinking water side. So it's important that we do that while we have folks on the rate committee who've been on the committee for a while, understand that process really well, and to go through a new model and ask really good questions of the folks who develop those models to try to find ways to recover our operating and capital costs in a way that maybe is favorable to our ratepayers who are least able to afford it. So under our existing rates, everybody, for example, on the sewer side pays the same rate, whether it's TOGAS or if you just use 100 cubic feet per month, which is the air bill minimum. So is there another way to generate the same amount of money we need every year, where we might charge a little bit more to Togus because they use more weight, or in this case, generate more wastewater than the folks who don't? And that might be a way to help offset those ever rising costs that we have to incur as a utility that maybe won't hit our customers who are at least able to pay as well. So that newer model will give us a lot of understanding about how other utilities have dealt with this, and give the board some options to consider that you frankly haven't had to consider in over 15 years in some cases. So drinking water model in particular was done professionally by Maine Water Company. It seems to be a very robust and a solid model, but for the life of me, I couldn't tell you how it works, and I don't like being in that position. And finally, Mike hasn't gone through a rate process. He's been super busy with a lot of other things, but now, a rate modeling process. So now's a perfect time for him, and he's got a few years under his belt to go through this as well. So from where I sit, it's a good time to do it. $27,000, it's a lot of money. I tried really hard to work with Raft Ellis, company that did our sewer and stormwater model back in 2011. Outstanding company. I'd love to hire them again. They won't return calls. Those did both in person and not in person. Can't for the life of me understand it. So let's pivot to somebody who will. I know the president of this company, and I'm confident that we will get a product that will make sense and work for us, and give us finally some creativity to help address these ever rising costs. So.
I just want to restate what Brian just said there at the end. This was not all on Brian not to bring it up in the last 5 or 10 years. We discussed it a little over 2 years ago or longer, stuff in the rate committee and through other meetings. And as Brian said, he took calls, and his guys came on the phone, talked to us, discussed the thing we were going to do, what he needed to see coming forward, but he never got back to Brian, but we just dropped him. So I just want to show that Brian was out there trying to get these things.
I remember you guys doing that. So
The race committee and stuff on this stuff, this study is absolutely needed. It should be done every 5 years, I don't know. And doing this stuff, because they look at different things, they look at all the things, and when you look at what they put together in here and what they're doing, my only concern was how much time is Mike going to have to get ready for the main meeting on that thing that's up there, because he's got so much going on right now.
Yeah.
And I would like to ask at the same point that the rate committee attend the meeting that they wanted to do in May, the introduction meeting, but we only need to be there at the beginning, just to see what they're doing. We don't need to stay around for all the particulars on that stuff. But I just like to have us there for the very beginning of the introduction and the thing. But I am so much in favor of getting this thing done and making sure it happens every 5 years.
Yep.
Will there be a point in this process? I don't know exactly how long it will end up taking. Is there a point where there's board discussion about policy positions in it? Because obviously rate structure is some math and some policy of how you want to do it. And I'm just curious if that's part of it, or if we need to funnel those comments to management or to the rate committee, or just give me a little bit on how that would go.
My sense of working with, my sense of meeting the folks who are doing this is that it's going to be very much an engaged process to the extent you want to be. I'm sure they deal with clients who are very much hands off. The board doesn't want to have anything to do with it. They just have operations personnel deal with it and feed it back up to them. This board's a lot more granular. It's a smaller organization in general. So I think there are good opportunities to ask a lot of questions. I don't get the impression that that would be off-putting to them or materially drive up expenses on our side for, asking them too many questions. The questions that this board would ask would be very mature and solid questions. I'm confident of that. So I don't see that. Did you get that vibe, Mike?
Amenable to anything.
Yeah, and they've done this a lot. My understanding is if they have a go on this now, we'll tell them to move forward and hope to have a product that we can work with by November. So my plan would be for 27 that the combination of policy and mathematics would be such that we can
Any chance to do a presentation in October at our planning session? For the fact is that we're talking about this with all our partners and we have a bunch. Would the board have a chance to have that input Brad talks about this summer or something?
I would think so,
that
especially-
because I think it's important.
Yeah.
I think they got that pretty much in their schedule, that they were planning to do the thing. With their recommendation coming back September, or final recommendations in November. So I think, yes, the answer to that question is,
Okay.
most definitely, yeah. I'd like to make a motion to authorize general manager to enter into a contract with China Bond to update the rate model for the water sewer and stormwater improvement. Further contract agreement.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all is in favor? All opposed. Excellent. Moving on. Great. Thank you, everybody. Move on to the HR update with Alan first.
Good evening.
Good
Hi. Open positions, we have 3 open positions. One is not currently advertised. That's a utility worker. There's 2 engineering tech 1s advertised. One of them has 5 applications, the other one application. I think we filled the meter shop assistant position.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, I wasn't sure of that, but I think we did. So that's complete. And the only other thing I have right now is tomorrow morning I get in my vehicle and start traveling back to Maine.
We'll see you next month.
75 degrees here today.
Any questions for Alan? Hearing none, let's move into the,
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
If, I don't know if you're interested in public comment, but if she is, then we move that in.
I
So she
forget
doesn't
about
have to stay outside.
great, I forgot about that. Good public comment. The rate hearing happened at the beginning.
You know, I got that letter in the mail, and I said to myself, I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna see this all out. You know, as a retiree and seeing all the costs of everything going up, I was alarmed. But I have to admit that coming here and seeing what's going on, there's some things I'm going, hey, can we just kind of put this little sign right here, try to keep costs down? But I could see where, yellow.
Well, I appreciate that comment.
I still have not made a final yay or nay. So I'm still listening to what you guys have to say.
Well, we're about to go into an executive session that there is no public. We have to talk about some details if we can. So that's why we wanted you to have a chance to comment before we do that.
Unfortunately, I wasn't very informative or anything of that nature. But you guys really opened my eyes to see that a lot is going on, and I'm glad it came down.
Come back in.
Yeah.
See you next month.
I also just want to point out, pay attention to our website and everything. You know, we give minutes and stuff. Everything is presented at the meeting. We attach all the reports and the studies we've done and everything else. It's all outlined every month. So you go through it, you can look at it and understand it and question all. But we try to remain as open to the public as we possibly can.
And the video, video of the meeting will be online as well.
Okay, well, one thing I did want to know is in the roles all of you are playing. Who's who? I'm making the assumption, this row right here, the board of trustees.
No, this is a. We have 9 members, 7 are voting. So we have, 7 voting members, 6 from Augusta, 1 from Caldwell. And then we have an alternative with non-voting member from Caldwell that can also be the voting, depending if the one is here. We have a non-voting trustee from the city of Augusta that represents the city. All of us are appointed by the mayor of the Augusta is appointed by the mayor, and same with Caldwell. So it's not an elected office; it's an appointed by the mayor of the town.
Confirmed by the
But how did the
Confirmed by the city council.
So where did the mayor get the name from?
Mayor is
In
pretty.
other words, how did the mayor come up with?
They have a sheet. They have on the website or going into the city. There's a way to sign up for boards and commissions in all the cities, towns. Mayor gets a lot that way. The current mayor, I'll speak for the current mayor, is very, very involved in the community, has some pulse, and a lot of people talk to him. And certainly he gets named and networks that way. I can't, and Paula Wells, I think it's pretty similar, right? I mean, all of us here on the board, some of us have been elected city councilors, some haven't, but we're all involved in communities.
And you might want to point out that their term expiration dates for the city of Augusta.
And we do keep all on the website and everywhere. We do have the term expiration dates. Nobody's on here for life. You have a
3-year term.
The 3-year term, so you can see when those expire. And we welcome any and all applications to trustee positions.
How many people show up for these meetings?
Well, mostly show up on TV watching us. Coming in, we used to meet at City Hall and up in the city council chambers. We get a few, but we thought we weren't getting enough, so we do it on TV for people who don't have to leave their house. And it was on us. It was on the cable channel at one time, right? It wasn't on the city cable channel, but we're just streaming it now on
Correct.
Google Meets.
Yeah. We had a number of issues with CTV7. Technically, they didn't do a good job getting the information out. It was expensive. It's somewhat $500 or $600 a month to have that broadcast, and we just weren't getting the benefit. So we said, well, we're going to record it with this, broadcast it live, and also put a copy on the website later so somebody wants to watch it again.
So, as you said, everything from tonight, trying to get that stitched.
Yeah.
You guys have already made the decision, correct?
That's just, yeah. They don't vote. The board doesn't vote on this until the next meeting. So on the May 18th.
So you're gonna give. You're gonna
More
put
time for comments.
Tonight, we
Correct.
allow commentary and then go from there.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Welcome anytime.
It certainly was an eye opener.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Don't be turning my sticker on when you walk by my house.
Well.
That's actually a good idea.
Just gave her an idea too. Thank you. Okay.
We have one more public business.
Right.
It's on the screen. This is the attachment that I sent around like 30 minutes after the board agenda went out, but FEMA's process has kept changing for our generator and resiliency project at the plant. So we've applied for it a number of times and we've modified our application a number of times, and they're asking if the board can reaffirm or adopt and participate in the Kennebec County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
I swear we
So-
just did this.
I move to adopt and participate in the Kennebec County Hazard Mitigation.
Wait a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you all.
Sign that thing.
I'm going to send this around for your signature. You should all be on here. Thank you.
Okay, and we can do a move to executive session, correct?
I
Yep.
move to enter executive session to discuss property acquisition pursuant to MRS section 456C.
Wait a second.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? No, hearing none. All those in favor? We're in executive session. We'll be back. Executive session.
We did this.
Thank you. Alan, you gonna stay?
I got to stop recording this here.
No, I didn't.
I almost.
Uh,
Yeah.